Blake Lively is firing back at Justin Baldoni.
Blake is trying to rewrite the history just like AH did. She's literally out there trying to change the facts that we.
You know, he's a really decent human being and a decent person, and has really been very fair and not wanting to attack anyone.
When a top Hollywood attorney turns...
When one of Hollywood's most sought-after attorneys turns down a fortune, people start asking questions. Bryan Freedman just rejected a multi-million-dollar offer from Blake Lively, and the reason is absolutely jaw-dropping. In this eye-opening Expose, we dive into the leaked texts, private emails, and first-hand reports that uncover how Lively allegedly tried to secure Freedman's allegiance in an attempt to derail Justin Baldoni's career. This covert industry chess match is finally coming to light, and what's revealed might shake Hollywood to its core.
Lively is firing back at Justin Baldoni's lawsuit. So you remember on the podcast yesterday,
yes,
we discussed that
the lawsuit
that Justin is suing Blake and Ryan and Blake's agent, her publicist, for defamation, civil extortion, interference with contractual relations, all the things for $400 million.
Yes.
So
minimum $400 million.
Does it say minimum?
Yeah.
Like the court's going to go, oh, we'll give you a few extra million.
Right.
Well, Blake's team is firing back. She's saying,
they're pissed.
This is an age-old story. A woman speaks up with concrete evidence of sexual harassment and retaliation, and the abuser attempts to turn the tables on the victim. This is what experts call DAVO, deny, attack, reverse victim offender. What is your feelings about where this stands now? I kind of...
No, I mean, I think everyone is just kind of confused, which actually is what Blake's team kind of pointed out. They're saying that Justin throwing all this other stuff into the mix is kind of confusing the public and just making everyone overwhelmed, which actually I do kind of agree. After his lawsuit came out, I'm like, I'm out. This is just too much, which they're saying is a tactic, and they're saying is, him trying to lessen her allegations.
So he's not supposed to allege anything that he thinks happened. Only he's allowed.
Yeah, but that is true. Each person has their own side and their own story. But it is hard to tell who's right, who's wrong. I mean, look, it's probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
But my God, just going through those 179 pages. So I went through them during the beginning of the day, but then last night I took them home and went through them again.
Oh, snore.
It's just she even said in there, according to him, she joked that he needed a nose job.
Wow.
I was like, wow, these two did not like each other. It was petty.
Ever wondered who Blake Lively really is when the spotlight fades? The persona she shares with the world America's darling, Ryan Reynolds' adoring wife, devoted mom of 4, and founder of Betty Buzz's Seemingly Flawless. Her Instagram overflows with baked goods, family snapshots, and her signature quirky humor that has captivated audiences for years. But insiders from the set of It Ends With Us paint a very different picture, one that clashes sharply with her public charm. Behind closed doors, sources say, Lively operates with quiet dominance, making swift power plays when control slips. From her grasp, she's built a brand around being warm and relatable, one crew member explained. But off camera, it's pure strategy. Who's allowed to speak? How scenes unfold? Who steps near her trailer? It's all micromanaged. We've reviewed messages allegedly sent from Lively to production staff, some arriving in the middle of the night with firm directives. In one, she apparently wrote, "If Justin thinks he's calling the shots without me, he's dreaming. This is just as much my movie." Another read, "Keep her away from me tomorrow. Move her to second unit if you have to." The contrast between Lively's empowering speeches and her alleged treatment of female colleagues didn't go unnoticed. She wanted to appear collaborative in public, said one female DP, but would text producers afterward to shut us out. It was demoralizing. Then enters Bryan Freedman, arguably one of Hollywood's toughest lawyers, known for defending high-profile figures like Kevin Spacey and Chris Harrison. He's earned a fearsome reputation for his legal firepower and strategic savvy. What many don't know is that both Lively and co-star director Justin Baldoni sought Freedman's legal advice as on-set conflict escalated. But here's where things took a sharp turn. Insiders say Lively didn't just want Freedman in her corner, she wanted to make sure he was not available to Baldoni. At the root of the friction was creative authority. Baldoni felt a duty to protect the film's emotional integrity as both director and lead. while Lively allegedly pushed for full control over the romantic scenes, marketing decisions, and even editing domains traditionally helmed by the director. Justin wanted to honor the book's message, said an exec close to the project. Blake wanted to reshape it around her brand. Tensions hit a peak while filming the film's pivotal moments. Lively reportedly disregarded the agreed choreography and rewrote the flow, sidelining Baldoni's input. What followed was a quiet legal struggle behind the scenes, with each trying to assert influence. Although Lively's team extended a substantial offer, Freedman declined. According to sources, he refused to be leveraged in what felt like a campaign to discredit Baldoni's leadership. What started as a promising film collaboration has now morphed into one of Hollywood's most controversial production clashes, and the truth is finally starting to unravel.
Be concerned about all of this and really sad about all of it for everybody that's involved. I think he goes through, emotions that everyone goes through in these types of situations. But, he's a really decent human being and a decent person, and has really been very fair and not wanting to attack anyone. But he is, he's devastated as anyone would be. He's, and the studio has lost hundreds of millions of dollars. And as we've put forth in the complaint, there are significant damages that he's suffered, and the emotional distress, having represented a number of people who have been involved in these situations, the emotional distress that people go through, and how difficult it is to walk through an airport, to walk through, your daily life, to be with your children, to try to, be a normal father or husband, and any of it, with all of this weighing on you is just tremendously taxing. And he's going through it, like they all go through it. And, we're just, he's going to keep his head held high and tell the truth and be honest and be honorable. And we know that
Blake Lively's alleged control over the film's intimate scenes was just the beginning. Multiple insiders now claim the real storm hit during the final phase of It Ends With Us, when tensions between the leads turned into an all-out power clash. In early February, during the most sensitive period of post-production, Lively reportedly arranged a discreet meeting with legal powerhouse Bryan Freedman. The venue, the Polo Lounge in Beverly Hills, Hollywood's go-to haven for sealed deals and stiff cocktails. But this wasn't your average meeting. She came prepared with a full strategy and a blank check, revealed a legal aid aware of what followed. Sources allege she offered Freedman a staggering $1 million in cash to walk away from representing Justin Baldoni and take her side exclusively in the dispute over the film's direction. But the offer, according to those close to the deal, wasn't just about hiring a top lawyer. Lively allegedly wanted Freedman to shape a damaging narrative portraying Baldoni as erratic, unprofessional, and inappropriate on set. This wasn't just legal maneuvering, said a paralegal from a nearby office familiar with Freedman's operations. She was coming for Justin's career, full stop. A leaked text allegedly sent from Lively to her PR handler just before the meeting supports this. Meet F today. If he's as good as they say, Justin won't get near another Alistair, worth every dollar. The meeting's timing also raised eyebrows. Post-production was reaching a crucial stage. Editing choices, trailer cuts, and marketing themes were all being finalized. Sources claim Lively was growing increasingly concerned about how her role in public image might be affected by how the story unfolded. She wanted full oversight of how the emotionally charged scenes came across on screen, said a producer close to the edit bay. And when traditional influence didn't get her there, she allegedly turned to legal and PR tactics. According to legal analyst Marissa Rodriguez, the accusations carry weighty consequences. This goes beyond hiring a lawyer to fight for creative rights, she explained. What's being described borders on using a legal representative as a weapon to launch a targeted media smear. If that's true, it risks breaching state bar ethics rules around integrity and harassment. The alleged $1 million offer reportedly came with a checklist. Freedman would drop Baldoni, citing a conflict in legal approaches, then quietly assist Lively's team in planting press stories that painted Baldoni in a damaging light. In Hollywood, if a lawyer like Freedman suddenly exits, it sends shockwaves, said one veteran showbiz reporter. The implication is, there's a fire, and someone got burned. And according to insiders, that perception was exactly what Lively was counting on. One more text, reportedly sent from Lively to a senior executive, adds deeper context. I need F to make sure those edits go how we agreed. Justin's clueless. This should feel powerful, not pitiful. If legal doesn't work, Pressure might. In an industry where high-powered lawyers often double as image architects, Lively's alleged play crosses a rarely tested boundary. If proven, it could open up serious questions about celebrity influence, image manipulation, and the ethical edge of Hollywood's legal underworld.
Their attorney, Bryan Freedman, released the video. They get in this expert from the Hollywood Reporter who wrote an article. Mia Shadher, an independent and experienced intimacy coordinator, watched the video and made comments that he was blah, blah, blah. He was clearly trying to kiss her and they clearly hadn't discussed ahead of time. How do you know? You weren't there. You weren't there. So now, I called her Amber because it feels like it. Blake is trying to rewrite the history just like AH did. She's literally out there trying to change the facts that we have. Why on earth would you include a Hollywood Reporter expert who wasn't there? This would never hold up in court. You're grasping at straws, just like she did. This is desperate. This is pathetic, and it's hurting real victims. This is what it's about? Because he acted in a scene with you where he snuzzled and kissed your forehead? Are you serious? The same woman who talked about how she likes to ball bust without teeth? Are you nuts? This is crazy. The hypocrisy here is insane. You and Ryan are so gross and explicit, but now in a scene where you're acting, it crossed the line? No, you're changing this all and you're making this, trying to justify it because you can't admit you're wrong. Because you don't think you were. Maybe she addresses that later. Anyway, there's so much to unpack. Please join us because I'm getting bothered. None of this proves anything. I've really tried to look at this objectively, like, all right, let's see what has really made them do this. And as I've gone through the bulk of this, I even went through ChatGPT. I've summed it all up and tried to make sure they had all these things in there to really help us. I've gone through all of it. I'm not seeing anything that makes me remotely change my side or get nervous for Justin's camp. I'm shocked at how desperate it all.
What unfolds when a celebrity slides $1 million check across the table expecting loyalty, only to meet the one Hollywood attorney who can't be swayed? In a world where backdoor deals and personal gain often overshadow ethics, Bryan Freedman's response to Blake Lively's alleged offer didn't just raise eyebrows, it defined his reputation. Insiders say the now notorious meeting went down at the Polo Lounge, Beverly Hills' most discreet hotspot for power negotiations. But what Lively allegedly asked for went far beyond routine legal work. The second Freedman fully understood the scope. Everything changed, said a nearby observer. His body language shifted. You could feel the energy drop. His jaw tightened, tone sharpened. Though he kept it professional, he was reportedly seething. According to the same witness, Freedman looked Blake in the eye and calmly said, "This isn't just wrong, it borders on illegal." He slid the documents right back her way. "I don't represent people because they can pay the most," he continued. "I choose clients based on integrity, not betrayal." 3 separate sources back up what followed. Freedman rose from the table, effectively ending the meeting and drawing glances from nearby patrons. But this wasn't just a rejection of a lucrative deal. Turning down Lively's alleged proposal meant closing the door on a wealth of future opportunities. Everything from Ryan Reynolds' production ventures to shared brand partnerships in Hollywood's tightest circles. In this town, saying no to Blake Lively doesn't just end one discussion, it closes multiple doors, said entertainment strategist Samantha Weiss. What Freedman did was more than rare, it was disruptive. And this isn't the first time Freedman has prioritized principle. While advising Meghan Markle and Prince Harry, insiders say he pushed back against calls for aggressive tactics against the tabloids, holding the line even under pressure. And during his legal work with Kevin Spacey, sources confirm he demanded clear boundaries, refusing to allow strategy to blur ethical lines. "He's got bite when needed," recalled a former associate, "but he won't cross certain lines. That's what makes him so respected here." Back at the Polo Lounge, the air turned frigid. She looked completely blindsided, said another source. You could almost see her running through contingency plans in her head, who to call next, how to spin it, where to pivot. The aftermath was fast and final. Freedman, according to sources, reinforced his support for Justin Baldoni. Lively wasted no time finding another powerhouse lawyer. But whatever professional rapport she had with Freedman, it was gone. A colleague inside his firm remarked. He made it clear any future work tied to her would need elevated review for ethical risk. In an industry where blurred lines and quiet favors are par for the course, Freedman's choice stands as a rare instance of integrity triumphing over ambition. It sounds like a no-brainer, right? Asked ethics scholar Richard Bennett. But you'd be shocked how many lawyers in showbiz would rationalize that paycheck. That's why decision matters.
You saw, Ryan, make light of the situation, I guess, try to find some humor in all this.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation. I can't think of anyone who's done anything like that, and so it surprised me.
So I got to tell you, all I'm thinking in my head is one word: deposition. Because when Ryan Reynolds sits for a deposition, if it gets that far,
tell us about when you went in for the meeting and going over the script with SNL.
Well, what I'm thinking
is
what Bryan Freedman is going to say is, so you were upset that you say your wife was harassed, and he's going to say yes, and he's going to say, yet you kind of made a joke of it, or made a joke of it.
Well,
that's what he'll
more
say.
than asking Ryan, he's going to put that question to Blake, because she's sitting there, she's party to it, in knowing and reacting to the lines.
You're going to do it with both, but you're going to do it with Ryan.
Right.
You're going to do it.
But my point is, did you say to Blake, you
were sitting there,
Freedman might have walked away from the money, but turning down Blake Lively was just the prologue to something much darker brewing in Hollywood's shadow. Once upon a time, celebrities could control the spotlight with glossy statements and carefully curated social feeds. That era is ending. And what Blake left behind in her digital wake is sending shockwaves even seasoned insiders can't ignore. Let's talk about the paper trail. A trove of internal emails provided by 3 separate crew members paints a chilling picture. A systematic attempt by Lively to push director and co-star Justin Baldoni out of the inner creative circle of it. Ends with us. One message in particular, dated March 15th, showed Blake writing to a producer, "Let's shift Justin's shooting blocks when we can. Less overlap means less friction." This wasn't a polite ask, it was a command. Assistant director Maya Rodriguez confirmed production schedules were regularly modified to avoid Lively Baldoni interaction, even for scenes they shared. But the power play didn't end with call sheets. Financial records tied to Lively's production firm show a curious trail, over $175,000. in payouts to a boutique reputation agency named Pinnacle Media Strategy and Outfit. Insiders say specializes in narrative spin and image rehabilitation. The first invoice dated 48 hours after her now infamous meeting with Freedman. Coincidence? Industry veterans think not. Remember those cryptic online posts in late February hinting at a combative male director on a film set? Turns out, those weren't organic. We found a WhatsApp thread titled JB Cleanup featuring Blake's publicist and a team of social media consultants. One message read, "Got the gossip site to take the bait publishing the toxic director angle tomorrow." Another added, "Keep it untraceable. Use our usual media pipeline." What came next was even more unsettling. Digital monitoring by a firm called NetWatch identified 37 burner accounts, created over just 6 weeks, all pushing anti-Baldoni narratives. Shockingly, 22 of those were traced to IPs linked directly to Pinnacle's corporate address. On set, the control didn't ease up. Script supervisor Sarah Chin recalled seeing Blake send her assistant to collect Justin's revised scenes from his trailer during break. She wanted eyes on his updates before anyone else. Chin said, "It didn't feel collaborative, felt like surveillance." But the most revealing clue may be a string of private chat logs pulled from a crew member's phone backup. In one exchange, Lively allegedly typed, "Get people to doubt him before he speaks. Say he's hard to work with, especially with women. By the time he defends himself, no one will believe it." These messages, together with financial transfers, scheduling tweaks, and behind-the-scenes chatter, paint a far more disturbing picture than just creative friction. What unfolds is the anatomy of a deliberate, tactical effort to undercut Justin Baldoni's professional reputation, all while Lively preserved her polished, unbothered image in the public eye. On the surface, she played the sweetheart, but her online footprint tells a very different tale, deeply
ongoing theory that like Ryan Reynolds is the guy that's behind all of this, because people feel that Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively were secretly in love while filming this. And if you listen to some of like the voice text that he sent her, it seems like a very, like they had originally like a very intimate conversation, and like, you know, just their conversations were just very
him speaking
like
at 2 a.m.
love-like.
Or that's just his voice at 2 a.m.
Yes, but fans are really reading into this, and they're like, you know, Ryan is so jealous of this relationship. He's trying to torpedo this. And look, at the end of the day, the scenes do kind of look alike. You know, the interaction, the camera angles, the dancing, but it's just another scene in any other movie.
In Hollywood, public image isn't just shaped, it's engineered. And in Blake Lively's case, that image wasn't merely defended, it was invented. How does someone present herself as America's down-to-earth darling while allegedly a covert campaign to derail a co-star's career? The explanation lies in the psychological strain of celebrity and the strange duality it often breeds. According to celebrity psychologist Dr. Meredith Jensen, it's a condition known as identity fragmentation where public figures unconsciously split their personas into two. This goes beyond playing a role, Jensen explains. It becomes a coping mechanism to survive relentless attention. They create a psychological firewall between their real self and their projected self. Eventually, that split becomes automatic. Lively's online presence is a perfect case study. Her Instagram is a sea of golden-lit snapshots, picture-perfect parenting moments, and quirky captions that appear spontaneous but rarely are. Alicia Winters, a former digital brand strategist for Alistair's, says the content is anything but candid. Those casual posts, they're rehearsed. Even a birthday wish might take a full team to approve. The messy bun selfie, almost always retouched. This hypercuration extends well beyond her digital footprint. Her media engagements are similarly micromanaged. Communications analyst Thomas Larkin notes that Lively only appears with hand-picked interviewers under strict guidelines. Questions are pre-approved, interviews rehearsed. Anyone who's gone off-script in the past doesn't get a second invite. He says, it's about locking down the entire narrative. Her career choices follow that same logic. Since 2016, she's only joined productions with reputations for full cooperation and minimal creative resistance. Mia Santos, a producer whose project Lively declined, recalls being given strict demands. They asked for script control, casting in almost like she wanted to direct. When we pushed back, we were told she had a sudden conflict. Others who've worked with her describe this same contradiction. Costume designer Rachel Kwan, who worked with Lively on a 2018 set, recalls two versions of the actress. One day, she's baking brownies for the team. The next, she's screaming over the wrong brand of water. It was emotional whiplash. That contrast is echoed by 3 other crew members across unrelated productions, each recalling the divide between her sweet persona and off-camera behavior. PR expert Devin Rodriguez says this is part of a larger issue. Hollywood protects its top earners, he explains. If someone brings in huge box office numbers, studios will go to great lengths to protect them. If a grip or assistant complains, it's their career that gets ruined out the celebrities. This culture of immunity allows for unchecked behavior. But the deeper danger, according to Dr. Jensen, is internal. Eventually, the separation becomes so complete that the star can no longer distinguish reality from performance. She warns, they start believing the facade they've created. And when that happens, even they lose sight of who they really are.